she said!
Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of the Peasants Perspective. Ponyboy's already in the chat. Good morning. He's on it. And I got the hiccups exactly 1 second before the show started.
I know. Early riser.
Holy smokes.
So sorry.
Every day it's something. We're either late or I got the hiccups or something. Oh my goodness. All right, we'll let a couple more people file into the chats. I've already got the pop-out chats all set and ready to go so I can track you guys on YouTube. We'll see if our independent friend shows up again on YouTube. I got a clip for him today. He shows up. Oh man.
So random.
Yeah, every now and then we get a real fun one in the chats. It's awesome. It's actually, it's interesting the dynamic the show takes, because it used to just be me screaming into a microphone. People listening on the audio, please go to the audio, your favorite podcast app, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Avoid Spotify if you can, but
I'm sure they were super confused because they were probably chatting with me, and then they were talking to you, and then they were chatting with all these all the other show listeners.
But on the audio, we're still on the just me, right? So every day we release an old episode from season 1, and so the audio listeners, you're kind of getting a double dose. But you get this 2020 episode or 2021 episode. I guess right now we're still in 2021, summer of 2021, and it's before you showed up. So it's just me talking into the microphone for an hour, and then you show up and we talk into the microphone for an hour. And now we've got this new format where we actually have live chatters and stuff. So the show's taking on like an interactive dynamic. It's really, it's actually kind of fun. It's fun to know every morning we come in and, Ponyboy's there, and there's so many of you guys. Pray the Rosary. So, I can't even name you guys all.
And I was thinking about that last night, and I was talking to my wife about it, and I thought it was interesting and fun how you've kind of developed a community, and then this one random guy kind of was busted in. and at first I was like, but then I realized, you know what? If this show is really successful, we're gonna have a lot of that.
A lot of random people. And what was fun,
pretty soon we won't be able to. The only person we'll be able to talk to is Weedham Boys, and we won't remember anybody else.
Weedham Boys and my dad. Hey, Dad. It is really fun. I really appreciate you guys chatting. Please do chat. We actually need 2 more chatters before the end of the month.
Well, yeah, and for now, we kind of know all the chatters, so it's kind of fun.
It is really fun, yeah. So please, if you haven't chatted, please get on Rumble and then just leave a comment. Just, I'm here, and we need 2 more chats. I'm going to be going out and grabbing people on the street here pretty soon. We're going to do some man on the streets.
Because unfortunately, the people that are on here now have probably all chatted a few times.
We definitely have plenty of listeners. Like we shouldn't have a problem reaching our live chat, but as most people do, there's only a small percentage of people that chat versus the people that just listen. Yeah. So is what it is. But if you haven't posted a chat in the Rumble chat, please do. It definitely helps us, and we need to have it for our monthly goals. And so, yeah, definitely do it. Okay, so there was an article that I apparently clipped. Oh, no, I didn't. I was like, did I already close a tab? Okay, so this article came out last night or this morning, however you want to think of it. It was probably last night. And the article says, it's from The Hill. It's Democrats flip Iowa state Senate seat, breaking GOP supermajority. So Iowa is like the Washington equivalent for Republicans. They've got a supermajority in the Iowa Senate. And I don't know exactly where this seat is, but the Democrats flipped the seat. And this is what they said. The DNC celebrated Dre's win on Tuesday night, noting that the district voted for Donald Trump in 2024 by more than 11 points. That's a pretty hard carry.
Yeah.
Okay? Pretty red county. Martin said in a statement that Iowans are seeing Republicans as a rubber stamp for Trump's agenda and want change. They are putting Republicans on notice and making it crystal clear any Republican pushing Trump's unpopular, extreme agenda has no place governing on behalf of Iowa families, he said. That's why all year long, Iowans have been electing Democrats to fight for working Iowans. Making no mistake, when Democrats organize everywhere, we win, and today is no exception. This flip marks the second Iowa State Senate seat this year that Democrats won after flipping another seat in January in a district Trump won by more than 20 points. The party has also outperformed in other special state legislative elections throughout the year, winning in other Trump-friendly states. So, what's happening here, Ron? Yesterday, we play a clip from CNN where Harry Enton's like, the Democrats are dog shit. The brand is worse than Cracker Barrel. Right?
Yeah.
Totally a horror. Sorry, Dad, for the swear word. But totally like, okay, the Democrats are falling apart as a party, not just in decline, it's devastated. Gavin Newsom is barely winning a straw poll for potential president.
But in Ohio, there's a stronghold.
But in Iowa, they're flipping seats that Trump won by 20 and 11 points.
How is this possible?
Good question.
Oh,
I don't know.
Oh,
do we have
bummer. I thought there was going to be a story.
I don't know the answer, right? I participate in the local GOP, and we're losing elections here too. But this is, Washington, and we have mail-in ballots, and there's all these hurdles to overcome.
We've got lots of problems.
But then I see this in Iowa, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe the common denominator isn't so much blue state, red state, if it's maybe Republican Party, Democrat Party. Like Republican Party's not well organized, maybe, whereas the Democrat Party apparently has the ability to push votes and get off cycle elections and people to show up. Like, is it just sheerly the party has more power and more pull, or are we seeing something else here? How are they flipping these?
I mean, that's certainly a possibility, and that's certainly something that could happen. But man, when you see a shift like that, it almost feels like, is there another type of steel going on?
I don't know. You've got this candidate up in New York, Mandami, who's an open communist, right?
Yeah.
He's asking for all kinds of stuff. Here's this forensic accountant, Sam Antar, who was on with Newsmax talking about Mandami's fundraising.
With me now is the man who uncovered and analyzed all the data and all the numbers behind Mamdani's campaign. He's a forensic accountant, Sam Antar. If you recognize Sam, that's because he's the same guy who uncovered Tish James, New York Attorney General, we'll use the word alleged fraud. Welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show. So, Sam, this was a lot of work. Okay, so how can it possibly be that this guy has such a huge coffer, millions of dollars? You were able to uncover that not a single donation came from like a regular person. How's that possible?
First of all, let's talk about sources. I downloaded all the information from the New York City Board of Elections website. It's available to the public. It was a 27,000 row spreadsheet taking up over 500 pages. I looked at it both myself. I says, what? There's something wrong here. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe whatever. There's no way that every dollar came.
So for fundraising for elections, they have what are called bundlers. So Nadler, it was a bundler. He was someone that bundled for the Democrat Party, got caught with child pornography. Bundlers are basically people who are just professional fundraisers. Yeah. So they go out and they get a whole bunch of small dollar donations and then they steer them. That's what a bundler does.
From bundlers. And I run it through. I run it through Excel's tools. I run it through 3 different AIs, and I came up with the same conclusion. And then I still didn't trust the AIs. I did it again. So basically, you have 27,600 and something lines. Okay, 70 of them or so were not attributed to bundlers, and the total from those lines was zero. Zero. Now, when you look at it, you say, okay. The guy has 4.5 million people on social media between YouTube, Instagram, Twitter ex-Twitter, and Facebook and whatever, right? And they all tell you, go to the Mamdani campaign website. You go and you fill out a form and you donate money. And the form, if you look at the source code, which I did, the money goes right to New York City Votes. Who keeps track? Was it bundled money? Was it this? Was it that? Right? Now, based upon the data, okay, all of those commercials, all of that beautiful media coverage that he gets, they slobber over him. Based on all of that, the social media stuff is scripted. Not a single dime ends up in his campaign coffers as a result of all of his appearances. It's all bundled money. Now, it's kind of like a TV show with great ratings. They play the commercials, but nobody buys the product. He's a lab rat. He was engineered in the lab, made for television, but he gets no grassroots results as far as it concerns money. His bundler raised, one single bundler raised 94% of the $1.7 million that he raised from his base. He had another $1.9 million that he raised from PACs on top of that. This is not a grassroots candidate. Right. Now, his bundle, by the way, raised 35% of overall bundler funds attributed to all candidates across the city. And he was 10 times more than the second place bundler.
So you have some mega bundler in New York that's spreading campaign cash across all these, local campaigns, and Mamdani is getting a lot of it. In fact, he's getting zero private dollar donations.
Shocking.
So these are not like, hey, he's getting only 30% of his donations are private. It's not 15%. It's not 5%. It's not 1%. It's 0%.
That's because we don't want to be communists.
So you have a candidate who's extremely popular on TV, seems well-funded, looks the part, but nobody's supporting him on the money side. No small dollar donations, nothing. There's no communist retired professor in New York that could throw $10 at his campaign.
I know we could find one in Washington.
Yeah. So how are they winning elections in Iowa? Where's the money coming from?
I don't know, man.
I just remind people, Act Blue's under investigation with the foreign funding drying up. You've got problems. Trump just put out a truth this morning.
Maybe they're trying to scramble to throw money where they can.
Listen to this truth this morning that longtime listener Rob sent me this morning. This is from Donald Trump. George Soros and his wonderful radical left son should be charged with RICO because of their support of violent protests and much more all throughout the United States of America. We're not going to allow these lunatics to rip apart America anymore, never giving it so much as a chance to, quote, breathe. This is the George Floyd, I can't breathe, and be free. Be free. Soros and his group of psychopaths have caused great damage to our country. That includes his crazy West Coast friends. Be careful. We're watching you. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The president accuses you of RICO and says, we're watching you. I'd throw your phone up against the wall right now. That's okay. Like, the Democrat Party's got bad ratings. CNN can't even manufacture their support. They're not getting rating. These left-wing news outlets aren't getting ratings to, act like there's some huge draw. Where are they getting the support? Is this just legacy? Republicans are not cool. Democrats are cool stuff going on. Is this like, what's happening here?
I don't know. Do we got any Iowa peeps in the chat? Can help us out.
I'd love to hear from you guys. Meanwhile, the real dollar donations. So this guy right here, he is, billionaire donor Antonio Gracias. He was on the All In podcast, which is a left podcast. This is like, it's not Pod Save America, but it's another one of these kind of like just Democrat-y podcasts, kind of real into the policy side of things. Okay. So he came in and did this interview, and it's a little bit longer, but we'll just play it all because it's valuable information. This is a billionaire donor.
But you got to realize we gave $13 to $15 billion a year to human traffickers. That's what this system did. And the money.
That's what he says right out of the gate to these guys about what the existing Democrat, coalitions and who have been running the government, what they did. He says, we gave $13 billion to human traffickers. This is what changed the way he started looking at things.
Magnet that attracted these people here. It wasn't like it was some crisis, environmental crisis. The money magnet attracted these people, and many of them died on the way up. I mean, think about what that's like. Think about the human crisis. So this is a human
suffering, the human rights tragedy. You have people who are getting sold into slavery and being abused at the border. At a minimum, every American should be against that.
Everyone is. Every American is. Look, man, this turned my stomach. When I went to the border and I heard the stories, it turned my stomach, man. We are America, okay? We protect people like this. We don't give incentives to people to pay traffickers. If you pay $20,000, I heard $20,000 to $500 just across the border, $20,000. I mean, where does someone who's coming from Central America or Africa get $20,000 to pay the traffickers that are walking them across the border? It's not free to walk up Mexico, okay? It's controlled by the cartels. What happens? I mean, they got to pay that back. How do they pay it back? They're basically indentured servants. This is terrible. This isn't what we do in this country, right? This country is about freedom, and we are here to protect it. We protect it around the world, protect it in our home country. And I don't think any American that I know, none of them, Democrats, Republicans, or anyone, thinks this is good. It's not good. It's bad for America, and it's evil behavior. We shouldn't send it. We shouldn't give people a reason to do it. We should find legal ways to come in the country. And
Antonio,
I think that's the way to come together.
Do you believe that there is a Democratic Party motive to increase voter base for the Democrats behind all of this, as has been proclaimed by some?
Look, as I go through the data and I see it's all about the data. Okay, David, and I know you love the data. When you just in a handful of states, man, I'm talking about 4 states. We looked at the voter rolls. We found these people, thousands of them on the voter rolls, and we found many of those people had voted. Right, in one state in particular, well over 1,000 voted. Yeah, I think this was a move to import voters.
But really importantly, I just want to make sure, because when I talk to politicians from the Democratic Party about this, they say there's aspects of human rights, doing the right thing for people in need, that is motivating some of this behavior. Is that a lie? And they actually have a different motive? Or do some in the party think that way, but there are real kind of call it a small group of highly influential folks at the top of the Democratic Party that recognize that this is going to grow the voter base, and they're kind of motivating this? What do you think is the construction of what sounds to some to be a conspiracy, and how much of this is really like widely understood?
Look, man, I'll tell you what I have seen. I'll tell you the actual information. If you look at Social Security Administration, we set all the defaults to kind of max open, no ID requirements, right? You get a Social Security number before we got here by walking in an office, answering, with a medical record and a school ID that had your name and your date of birth on it. That's it. Okay. We set the defaults to open on Social Security. We set the defaults to open on paying people out. And we set the collections defaults basically to 0. So that's how the system looks. I'm just reporting the facts. Do I think that the average person is a Democrat in Illinois, or the guys I knew, I grew up in Chicago, they know this? They don't know this. They don't know this. So were there people at the top of the system that did this? Yeah, people created this policy. The former administrators of these agencies created these policies. I've seen them. I've read them myself. I've gone to the data myself. They've seen them. Now, this isn't everybody. If you're the average person out there who's a Democrat and you see what I've seen, I believe you conclude what I concluded, which is this isn't right. These policies are wrong. They're evil. They're wrong. We gave an incentive for people to get trafficked. That's terrible. I just don't think people know. The reason I'm even willing to do all, you guys know me, I'm pretty private. I come on your podcast because we're buddies. But the reason I'm talking about this is not political. It's because it's a human rights issue, and the human rights issue is being confused. We are incenting people to pay traffickers to come to America. We were doing this, right? We got to find better ways to do that. And I don't believe any American, the 80% of the people Jason's talking about that would say close the border, that's the 80% of people who come together on this issue, which is, man.
It's interesting because one of those guys is from the Pod Save America podcast. I mean, these guys are like former Obama advisors. And we set all the defaults to wide open. Do you think the average Democrat voter knows that? No. Do you think the average Democrat voter knows we're paying the cartels to bring those people here? No. That the human rights issue has been flipped on its head? They don't know that. That was pretty sobering. I mean, I know it was a longer clip, but it's kind of sobering to hear that. Just listen. And by the way, he is in government. I can't remember what his position is at the moment.
Maybe don't answer this.
He's part of the Doge team.
Maybe don't answer this question, but what do you think the demographic of the users are for sex trafficking?
Oh, man.
Right. Okay. See, don't answer, but just think about it for a minute. I don't know, but yeah. All right, moving on.
It's an underworld. So I've been home alone last 2 days, and my wife doesn't like it when I watch prison shows. So I'm super excited.
I'll bet not.
So last night I watched one of these Amazon documentaries.
It's probably super triggering for her, but it's like an identifiable space for you.
It's interesting because I was watching this documentary last night, and it was kind of from the position of the COs, like, these are violent criminals. But the documentarians were out of Europe. So the whole thing was America has 25% of the world's inmates, and America has da-da-da. So it was kind of like you know, it had the inmates inside and it had some of the murderers and some of the people that are just finally getting sober and are like, oh my gosh,
this is probably similar, not the same, but probably similar to when I watch videos on YouTube about fishing, commercial fishing in Alaska. My wife's like, whoa.
You're like, no, it's relatable. I know. Yeah. So watching these shows last night, I've said this before, you know, like going into jail, I realized like, oh my gosh, there's people here that will eat your face. Like, I can't even, I pulled up the other day, I went down a little rabbit hole and I started finding video fights in prison that people have filmed with cell phones that have been contraband and smuggled into prison. So, you know, the fights inside the dormitories and in the bathrooms and stuff like that. And I was just like, I can't believe I made it through that, man. I cannot believe, like, I saw that stuff. I saw the jumpings and the fightings and like the gang culture and like, I got indoctrinated. Like there were things I had to do, not gang related, but you have to walk a certain walk in prison to stay safe. Yeah. You know, like even,
a little dicey.
And you know, any ex-military guy, ex-law enforcement, they go to a restaurant, they want to sit with their back, you know, they want to see the entrance, get the max view. I had the same problem, but it didn't come from. It came from prison. You know, like I don't want to sit with my back exposed. Someone could stab me in the neck and I didn't even know it. And they have those thoughts in my head. It's like, whew. The other thing is personal space. I have the hardest time walking through a crowd. I'm like, excuse me. Like there's respect you got to give in prison, right? And I have the hardest time if I'm in like a grocery store and someone's walking slow in front of me and there's not like there's a path that I used to just, you know, turn my body sideways and cut between the two carts in the aisle and just slip through.
You're not riding transit, are you?
Huh? Oh. I'd have the hardest time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So well, there's one time that some of the most dangerous times as far as commingling with people is transport. Because in transport, it's like you got a misdemeanor guy sitting next to a max security murderer guy going from one max to another max, right? Yep. This guy's been in solitary for 3 years and he's going to spend 1 day in transport. He's going to go back into solitary for a couple more years. So
right.
There's kind of
this is his chance.
These dangerous moments, right? Where it's like they're out. And even though we're all shackled up, they're out. So I was being transported from I was in Philadelphia. It's being transported to Oklahoma, so I had to do the whole Con Air thing. So we're on the tarmac in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which you're familiar with. So we're on the tarmac in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, sitting in this bus. Actually, we weren't even in the tarmac. The bus pulled over into a gas station so the marshals could go get food, make the bus smell really good with gas station food, and we all couldn't have any, and use the bathroom. Meanwhile, we couldn't. Right? There's a bathroom in the back of the bus. Good luck. You're shackled up. Well, I had to go. And I knew I was going to be getting on an airplane here pretty soon. And so it was like, or I didn't know, actually. I had no idea where I was going. Didn't know if I was getting on an airplane or not. No clue how my day was going to end that day. I was just on a bus shackled up. So I'm like, and the bus is full. And I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm like, all right, I'm going to walk back there, you know, do the pee thing with the handcuffs on and everything. So I walk to the back of the bus. And as I walk back, I brush up against some guy's leg. Uh-oh. Just, you know, he's like man spread it into the
yeah.
So I brush up against his leg and I sit down. And no big deal, dude. You're on a bus. Like, not a big deal. And the guy loses his mind. I swear, if he wasn't shackled up, like chained to his waist with his things, he would have put his handcuffs around my neck. And what do you know? He's like, what the you doing, man? You bumping into me? What, you got no respect? What the fuck, you know? You gotta say. And I was like, oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. He said, you say that before you bump into a man. What you think you're doing there? You're lucky we're all chained up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. Who knows who that guy was, right? But dude, I had a couple encounters like that where it was like, I got lucky. Anyways, yes, walking through crowds, the thought of bumping into somebody, like, it gives me a little, makes me think twice, which is funny how those things stick around. Anyways, no reason to tell all of that. But this is
sponsored by Dispute Resolution Network.
Exactly. Oh man, if I can count the times. Whenever something was like really messed up, like the process was wrong, like something was wrong. And when the process is wrong, the people who suffer are the inmates. You sit in holding longer, you know, it's longer. And at one point I said something, I can't remember what it was. It was something minor. And the guy goes, well, Call your congressman. When I got to Missouri, I was on the 3rd floor and there was elevators, but they were broken. So the elevators didn't work. So we had to climb up 3 flights of stairs to get to our dormitory. And as
how did you get to floor 3?
What do you mean?
Well, you said the elevators didn't work on floor 3. How did you get to floor 3 to begin with?
Up the stairs.
Oh, okay.
So we were going up the stairwell. And also another very dangerous place, by the way. No cameras in the stairwell. The lack of cameras in certain locations makes no sense to me. Like none. Like, how do you not have cameras in this big stairwell? People die in here. So you get locked into a stairwell. It's like cage fight time. It's like the ultimate, 3D chess. It's 3D UFC. There's like 3 planes of battle. So anyways, going up the stairwell, and the counselor that was leading us up there is super overweight, really struggling. She's like,
so you're taking your time.
She's doing, like, she can't bend her legs. So it's like,
oh, geez.
So she's climbing up these stairs, and someone makes a comment about, does this place not have elevators or nothing? She's like, it does have an elevator. It's broken. Write your congressman. Yeah. I'm like, I bet the congressmen have gotten 0 letters about the elevators.
Yeah.
That's like the good old, we're not doing anything about it. Don't complain to us. It's above our pay grade. Okay, so this is Stephen Miller, kind of a comedic break here. But my wife was listening to some Stephen Miller the other day. I could hear it in the other room, and she laughed. And I came and she's like, I don't know what it is about Stephen Miller. He just says things that are so like true and cutting. There's no political correctness in this man. So here's a highlight reel of Stephen Miller's best 2025
sweet
openers.
There's no law passed by Congress that says that we have to funnel money to organizations that traffic children. It is true that many of the people in this room for 4 years failed to cover the fact that Joe Biden was mentally incompetent. President Trump has already saved thousands of lives just by the people he's kept out of the country. It is a sad reflection on the state of our media and many of the outlets represented in this room that you obsessively try to shill for this MS-13 terrorist. The Democrat Party is not a political party. It is a domestic extremist organization. Most of your papers never covered her story when it happened. To the extent that you covered it at all, it was because President Trump forced you to cover it by highlighting it repeatedly over and over again. He had to shame you into covering it.
The Democrat Party is an extremist organization.
Truth.
Stephen Miller he's a national treasure. I know there's people on the left that are like, no, Stephen Miller. Dude, the YouTube chat is silent today. It's crazy. Well, almost makes me want to check in and make sure we're streaming. Good morning, Pray the Rosary Daily. Welcome. So yeah, Stephen Miller, national treasure. He probably could have added another 20 clips to that and kept going. It's really good. So a little more dour again. This is General Flynn talking about the deep embedment of the quote unquote deep state into all levels of our government.
I honestly think that if we had a very fair election system put in place, the Democrat Party would lose everywhere. They would lose everywhere because the Democrat Party is dead. It is gone. It has now been usurped.
So how did they win an election in Iowa?
Right.
Or taken over by the Democrat Socialist Party of America, which means Marxism. So Mamdani, as an example, AOC, who's backing him, they are card-carrying members of the Democratic Socialist Party of America, the DSPA. I mean, that's real. It's very real. It's been around since the 60s. So Americans don't know this stuff because we think Democrats and Republicans, big government, little government, lower taxes, higher taxes. No, we have completely shifted to a different set of competitive ideologies, one of which is whether or not you love America and you believe in America and you believe in the Constitution. And we can argue and debate about how that should take shape. And another is no Constitution, and we move towards socialism and Marxism. Those are the two ends of the spectrum, and that's where we stand right now in 2025. And Donald J. Trump has 3.5 years left to do as much as he can to really, to destroy or crush the deep state, to get this out of our system of, it's like we have a sickness in our government, because when we say the deep state, the deep state is made up of a lot of these people, a lot of them. I'm telling you, that here in Washington, D.C., probably 3/4 to, I would say even closer to 85 to 90% of our government, of our federal government, are part of this deep state. And that means, it's not just a few people at the top. It's not just a dozen people. It is damn near the entirety, because of the culture that has been created for the last, 20 years here, right? I mean, Trump's first administration, he did great just doing the things that he did. But look at how much of a beating he took and all the people around him took. So as if he didn't have to take a beating, imagine what this man could do, not just for the United States of America, but for the world. Look at what he's already done for world peace in various parts of the world. India and Pakistan as an example, right? So, and what he's trying to do in Europe, what he did in the Middle East. So all that said, I want people to understand that this country is not going to just float along and everything's going to be rosy unless we, the people, take a greater responsibility and get involved. Basically, we are citizens in this country. We have a responsibility to be good citizens, and we need to get involved to be even better citizens. And that's my sort of call to action.
85%, he thinks, of the government might be part of this other ideology, this communist socialist ideology that's not pro-Constitution, not pro-God, not pro-American exceptionalism. Sounds about right to me.
Sounds about right. It kind of checks with all the policies that have been put out.
With all the government workers I've ever interacted with, I'd say that's about the right percentage.
Yeah.
If you work with 10 inspectors, you might have one guy that's MAGA. The rest of them, you kind of, what are your pronouns today?
Yeah. Yep.
I hate to say it like that, but it's true. I remember there was a health department guy when COVID was going off, and he was pretty new and he was young, and, he wore a Patagonia jacket and kind of looked like an outdoorsman, not like a hunting outdoorsman, like a hiking outdoorsman. Right. And, we were talking about COVID, and I was like, well, I'm, forcing these vaccines, blah, blah, blah. And what if there's side effects? And he's like, well, we need to depopulate the planet. So, if I have to go in the bigger scheme of things, like, I'm okay with it. There's not really any point to this life anyways.
Bye.
and he's like, and he was just saying it. And he wasn't being rhetorical. He was dead serious. He was like, yeah, if I die from COVID or from the vaccine, at the end of the day, like, we need to depopulate. So
isn't that wild?
What a win. And I'm like, I'm not sure where our common ground is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where to start. Like, usually I can lean back to, well, we're all children of God. I don't know that you share that view. This is okay. Let's figure this out. Like, that's the problem with the competing ideology, is in many ways they put the cloak of America on, but they don't love America. Trump says this all the time. They don't love our country, blah, 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 blah. When I hear General Flynn say 85% of the government's that way, and there's probably some percentage of the people that are bought in on that ideology that don't even realize it, which is something we see over and over again. So, for example, this Lisa Cook character over at the Federal Reserve, who Trump fired, is now saying, I'm going to file a lawsuit to say that you can't sue me, that you don't have cause. There's a criminal referral sitting at the DOJ, black and white public record mortgage fraud.
Delusional.
And so now they've been posting just normal American citizens who went to prison for multiple years for checking the box that said primary residence when it wasn't. Right. And they're like, we do this every day. We send people to prison for mortgage fraud.
Just like you.
Exactly. And so anyway, so she says she's gonna fight that.
Of course.
Now, of course, this is her. And this is a little interview she did in 2020. And, this is just your Federal Reserve Board person.
We have seen this before. And that's why my European friends told me before Trump was elected not to make fun of what was happening, to take very seriously what was happening, because they've had recent skirmishes with fascism. They know the impact of fascism. And this guy is definitely a fascist and embraces that, and will sow divisions in this country that will take a long time to mend. We have seen.
Okay, so your Federal Reserve chairwoman, or whatever you call chair member, just called Donald Trump and his whole movement fascist. Now,
I think it's these people sling these words around. They don't even know what they mean.
An American, right? It's like there was a reporter says, I say goodbye to my comrades. I'm like, that's commie talk. Yeah. Like Americans say my associates, my friends, my coworkers. We don't say my comrades. Right. That's not part of our lexicon. If you're saying comrades, you've read a little too much of Lenin or Trotsky or, you know what I mean? Like Karl Marx, like you're missing something here. We're friends, associates, and business partners and coworkers. We're
the only
not
place
comrades.
I want to hear comrade is in an SNL skit.
Yeah. So when she says Marxism, who's overly concerned about fascism? Let's see. What is the biggest competitor to fascism? Total control, totalitarian, dictatorship. Oh, communists. Oh, yeah, that's right. Right? Because if you go too far to the left, you end up with communists. You go too far to the right, you end up with fascists, and you meet with a boot on your neck. Right? I mean, that's basically what we're talking about. So communists are overly concerned about fascists because, hey, if dictatorship is the solution, if authoritarianism is the fix to all of our problems, then of course, let's call our enemies whatever the opposite is. Let's not call them Democrats or Republicans. Let's not talk about representative government. Let's just straight up, this is one authoritarian calling another authoritarian. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, there's some good, valid points about Trump and fascism with intel, but we can talk about that. But this one bureaucrat that's unelected and appointed calling an elected official a fascist, that's interesting. Okay, so here's Mark Milley, who was the Joint Chief of Staff Chairman, basically in charge of the whole army.
We don't take an oath.
Giving a commencement speech.
To a country. We don't take an oath to a tribe. We don't take an oath to a religion. We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator. We don't take an oath to an individual. We take an oath to the Constitution, and we take an oath to the idea that it's America, and we're willing to die to protect it.
Okay, so you don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator. That's interesting because the media all around that time was calling Trump what? A wannabe dictator. Huh. And here you have the Joint Chiefs of Staff being like, we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator. Meanwhile, when that actual elected president of the United States is at the end of his term, you call your counterpart in China and say, don't worry, we won't let Trump do anything. Huh. Don't worry, we'll give you a heads up if he orders a strike. Was that on the table? Were we doing that? Was that like, were there? Trump didn't prep us for war with China like that, but yet you're calling the other leader being like, oh, don't worry. If my commander in chief gives me an order, I'll call you first. I'll let you know the missiles
Is that what
coming.
Dying defending the country looks like?
Yes, your integrity dies. Yeah. So Trump gets asked about, yesterday he held a 3-hour and 17-minute press conference or cabinet meeting, and he allowed the press to be there the whole time. It's the longest time that a president has ever been available for questions and camera like that in the history of the country. 3 hours and 7 minutes.
Okay.
Of nonstop.
Wow.
Availability. Like, usually these are 15 minutes, an hour for a long form interview. Like, you don't get that much time with the president. He had his whole cabinet meeting with the press in there the whole time.
So this was like a Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah. And Trump didn't get up to use the bathroom once. Like, it was
not like a Lyndon Johnson with the door open.
The press was like, this is exhausting. And it produced about 1 billion clips yesterday. I was like, well, we could spend 3 hours just watching this board meeting. But I think we probably need to do an ad read here pretty soon. Are we getting close to that?
Probably.
So we're going to listen to Trump. Let's see which clip this was. Oh, he's being asked about Lisa Cook and about, are you weaponizing government now going after her?
You have spoken out very strongly for a long time about what you see as the weaponization of government. Yeah. Is your administration weaponizing government by digging into the mortgage records of officials you don't like?
No, they're public. I mean, you can find out those records. You can go check out the records yourself. And you should be doing that job. Actually, you wouldn't do that because that's not the kind of reporter you are. You should be doing that job. I shouldn't have to be doing it. If you did your job properly, we wouldn't have problems like Lisa Cook. Go ahead. You were going to say something. Go. Blue.
To lower interest rates on national security.
I think we have to have lower interest rates.
I think it's funny how imagine them going back and writing their report with their little clip, and they're like, and then the president called me an idiot. But he says he's not weaponizing government. So JD Pritzker, this is from a couple days
Hold
ago.
on, man.
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's bang the tin cup around. Let's do this.
All right. The countdown is over. The rivalries are real, and the road to the championship begins on August 23rd. What? Isn't that over? Anyways, Westwood One Sports brings you every electrifying moment on NCAA football. From the first snap to the final whistle, top teams, big plays, unforgettable Saturdays. Don't miss a second of the action. Listen to NCAA football on rumble.com, the Westwood One Sports app, on westwoodonesports.com, via Westwood One station streams, or by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports. If it's sports, it's on Westwood One. Pow.
All right. So all you got to do is ask Alexa to open Westwood One Sports.
Yeah. Do it again.
Alexa, are you there? There's going to be some listener someday that's going to come back into the chat and make a comment and be like,
yeah,
you turned on my Alexa. Now I have to listen to sports every day. The algorithm thinks I like football. All right. So there's been this huge issue, right? Trump's brought federal troops to D.C., federal police all over the place. No murders for 2 weeks. Oh, my gosh. It's amazing what a dictator can accomplish. maybe we should try on fascism, Ron. It'll suit us well.
No.
So JD Pritzker has this little quote. He's on the banks of the Chicago River or whatever river it is over there. And he's like, this city's great. It's doing awesome. And then he goes and says, we live rent free in the president's head. Now, I find that to be hilarious. It's just another one of these acts of projection. It's like, I have a feeling Trump lives rent free in your head. I'm pretty sure he releases a truth or whatever and doesn't think twice about it. But you guys it's a storm for you. So JD Pritzker, yesterday, he put out a statement basically telling Donald Trump, when you get out of office, we will go to every extent to put you in jail, arrest you for all the crimes you're committing by cleaning up our streets, basically what he said. Which, by the way, FYI, if 2028 the regime changes, I'm heading for the hills. It's not going to be good. So this is JD Pritzker touting Chicago and its clean streets.
We're very pleased about the progress that we're making. I know that I live rent-free in the president's head, and I wish he would spend some time in Chicago so that he could see what a lovely city we have.
What a ding dong.
So for those of you on audio, JD Pritzker's doing this, and across the river, literally in his backdrop, like when you're seeing him, you see the glass of this building. It's Trump Tower in Chicago.
Yeah, he's never been there.
I wish he'd spend some time here. He's got a whole building. Meanwhile, residents on the city in the streets of Chicago, CNN went out, because they wanted to find some people and see what they had to say on the street about crime in Chicago, and they got a little bit of a surprise.
My first reaction was that this is a good thing. I think that the governor as well as the mayor should be on board with it, just so we can get a bit more of security in Chicago the way that we need.
The crime has dropped since 2024. Do you feel like the city feels safer?
No, not at all. No, especially with the police being defunded. My first reaction was that this is a...
So she's like, crime has dropped in the last year. Do you feel like it's dropped? No. Not at all. I'm sorry. 100%. Now it's 98%. No, it's too high. Let's shoot for 0, 1. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. The scale of this, when they're like, oh, crime's dropped. It's like, yeah, but it like doubled and tripled and quadrupled. And now it's down for a year. Like 36 murders, 35 murders.
And notice that she mentioned defund the police, which was a huge problem here in Seattle, too.
Yeah. And in that press conference Trump had yesterday, one of the reporters actually had a terrifying event that happened to her. She's a White House press pool reporter.
2 years ago, it was a Saturday morning in broad daylight. I was on my way to work, and a young man with a black ski mask pointed a gun in my face and threatened me to hand over my phone, my wallet, my laptop, and everything else. And when I refused, he used the butt of his handgun to strike me across the face, in the cheek, or what some people call pistol whip me before running away. That has deeply traumatized myself and my family. Ever since, I've never dared to walk in the street of DC at night ever, and my family was extremely worried. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for what you're doing right now.
Thank you for being honest.
Such incidents involve not just me, but also my family. If he had shot me, I could have died right there in the middle of nowhere without my families or my friends knowing at the age of back then, I think 23.
Right.
Just starting my career here in DC without even starting a family. But now I'm very blessed to have this opportunity.
So you had a gun pointed at your head, and you probably figured that he's going to pull the trigger because these are animals that don't know what the hell they couldn't care less. The pulling the trigger to him is a very minor event, and I'm sure he's done it before. So how did you? And you did refuse to give it, which would probably maybe somebody would say that was not the right decision, right? But you refused. But I understand that. So and then he hit you real hard.
Yes.
It's really amazing that you weren't shot, though.
I'm very blessed, and that's why having this opportunity to stand here to share my story today. One, I'm very grateful for God for allowing me to still survive to this day, but also to Mr. President. Thank you for now making DC safer.
Thank you very much.
For us, for our families, for my parents, on my behalf of my parents, and now my baby on the way. Thank you so much.
So 2 years ago, she got mugged on the street, gun pointed in her face, pistol whipped. She's part of the White House press pool. You know, and you think about it because you hear it slip out on the different shows, you know, where people are like, well, actually crime is pretty bad around here. And actually, yeah, we don't walk around at night. When I was in the DC gulag, the orderly, when I was down in the hole and in solitary, when I started out my stint, when I started my bid, but when I was down there, PJ had been in the system since he was 13. So he'd been in and out of juvie, and then he'd been in and out of prison in his 20s. And now at that time he was 33 years old, and he was about to finish a 150-day sentence, and he was going to get out. And this was going to be the first time in his life that he was going to be free without papers. Papers means probation or parole. To me, the first time
since he was 13.
Yeah. So I was like, so tell me what all happened. So every single time he'd been in prison since he was 13 was for probation violations. You get out on probation, it's being called on papers, and you're sitting in a car with a guy who has a gun. Guy gets checked, has a gun. You're not allowed to be in the car with him because you're on probation. Back to prison, another 100 days. Back to prison, another 90 days. You know, you got caught smoking weed. Back to prison, 150 days, right? So he'd done this cycle. He'd been in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And generally, I mean, again, one of the tricky things about prison is you're meeting people when they're sober.
Yeah.
Right. So you get someone, you're like, wow, they really put you away for 20 years. Like they couldn't reason with you. I don't see it with the drugs, right? So these guys that are like semi put together, and you're like, what's the deal here? Like, what you made that many
maybe
bad
gets
choices?
On drugs and gets crazy. Yes,
exactly. That's the That's the part of the equation that I didn't get to see. Mm-hmm. Like I look at it and I go, it looks like everybody in here just needed rehab, and once you got rehab, you kind of figured yourself out. But like someone said to me once, if you can't stay sober inside, you're definitely not going to stay sober on the outside. So there were guys that made choices to stay sober on the inside, right? Because it was easier living in prison, no hole, no trouble, you know, shakedowns, you're going to survive those, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like on the outside, they were going to go right back to it. And most of those people, it was all economics. They weren't addicts. They did it because of the economics of it. So anyways, the idea that, so PJ told me when he was 13, what started this all off was he and his buddies on the streets of DC, it's where he's from, born and raised, a white woman after dark walking down the street in a bad neighborhood. And they're like, what is she doing? And they're like, well, she shouldn't be here. Why shouldn't she be here? She's white. Okay, what are we going to do about it? Well, let's go rob her.
Okay.
So they ran up to her and they grabbed her purse, threw her on the ground. That's when he was 13 years old. And that's he got caught with her purse. And so that starts his life in and out of the system. And he couldn't get out of it. Right now he got out, soft papers. No idea what he's up to now, but it took him 20 years to finally get over grabbing this lady's purse, because it was literally, again, probation violation after probation violation after probation violation. Which, if you know anything about probation, you know, not all violations are really crimes. They're just like, oh my gosh, you guys are ridiculous. So JD Vance said something that I think should be the mantra for the midterms when it comes to city crime and violence.
I happen to believe that maybe the most sacred thing that we can deliver to American workers is the ability to live safely and comfortably in their own neighborhoods. Public safety is not just something that should belong to the wealthy. It should belong to every working man and woman in the United States of America. And because of the work of this administration, that is happening. And of course, Mr. President, you yourself talked about the inflation method.
Public safety is something that should belong to every American, not just the wealthy. That's the mantra for the midterms. in blue states and blue cities where you've got Democrat control and you've got high crime, high violence. That's the mantra.
So fund the police.
Fund the police. That law and order doesn't just belong to the wealthy; it belongs to all of us. It's a good thing. And the videos I'm seeing that are floating around there, they're saying people on the streets in DC are like, it's nice. We're walking around with our watches on, stuff like that. And keep in mind the rot. What General Flynn said, the rot is deep. You'd think everybody would just be okay with following the law and stuff like that, but some of these people that are supposed to administer the law, they're pretty messed up. You remember that judge up in Wisconsin that let the illegal immigrant escape out of her courtroom?
Yes.
So she filed her big motion to dismiss this week to try to make this whole case go away.
Okay.
And they said, no, not going to go away. We're going to trial. So this is a little recap of exactly what happened there. Little buffering. Not AI. AI would have had that all teed up and fresh.
His attorney in the hallway and walks towards Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan's courtroom. Along the way, he passes plainclothes federal agents who are sitting on a bench. They are there to detain him. After Flores Ruiz walks by, the agents turn to each other and appear to confirm his identity amongst themselves. But a few moments later, Judge Dugan and another judge approach the agents sitting on the bench. A criminal complaint against Dugan later said she was alerted to their presence by a court official. That complaint says during this interaction, Dugan and the agents disagreed over the type of warrant they had to arrest Flores Ruiz. According to the complaint, Dugan ordered the agents to go to the chief judge's office. Video shows her pointing them through a double door. She then turns back to speak with other agents further down the hall and orders them through the doors as well. Shortly after that, with the agents gone from the hallway, Eduardo Flores Ruiz and his attorney exit into the hallway through a different door. As they walk down the hall toward the elevators, they pass another plainclothes federal agent. Neither they nor Judge Dugan seem to have noticed at the time. That agent motions to another to follow Flores Ruiz. Security video shows Flores Ruiz exiting through a basement exit. Upstairs on the 6th floor, the other agents have left the chief judge's office and worked their way downstairs. Flores Ruiz left the building onto 9th Street. Videos of the street shows the agents catching up to him. Flores Ruiz runs across 10th Street while trying to get away, but the agents catch him and arrest him.
Dude, that judge.
Deep doo-doo. So dumb.
I like the fact that the judge is standing up to the executive branch. Like, hey, we're going to check the warrant. First of all, it's not your case. You're not in your courtroom. You're outside of your courtroom.
You're just regular Joe Schmo.
Conducting business on behalf of the defendant, who's there for a completely separate matter of which you have jurisdiction. But here's the feds, which, by the way, the whole federal supremacy thing, the whole Civil War.
I think this is closer to the real definition of fascism.
Your warrant's not good enough. Your federal warrant's not good enough. You can't arrest him here or at all. Like what? Go down to talk to the chief judge, who, by the way, is like, looks like you have a federal warrant. Good, do what you got to do. Mm-hmm. So now, yesterday, they've been taking people straight out of the courtrooms. Like, they show up for whatever, and the marshals are just showing up in court, and they're basically walking across the well and grabbing these guys right into court. Like, our warrant has jurisdiction everywhere. Stunning. So that judge is going to go. She's probably going to go to prison, man. I don't know.
I think she kind of deserves it.
It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. So speaking of Donald Trump being a fascist, this is Scott Bessent talking about one of the things Donald Trump's doing is he's giving the American people an upside in almost everything he's doing.
Look, if we go back to, say, that the COVID times, we could see that there was an airline rescue plan, and a lot of that was debt. And I can tell you some of that debt is still outstanding at 1%. So it was a good deal for the American people to keep the airlines flying, but financing private businesses still at 1% was not a good deal. What President Trump is doing, President Trump is going to be the only president in modern times who creates assets for the American people rather than debt. And we looked he saw that Intel had been given grants
Mr.
and
Secretary,
wanted to know why the American taxpayer wouldn't participate in the upside. So there's $11 billion of immediate value, and I think there's a very good chance here that it could be much more. But as you said, chips are a strategic necessity for us. One of the things we learned during COVID was that the United States has 5 to 7 strategic vulnerabilities in critical industries, and President Trump has said about de-risking that. And while we're de-risking it, there's also substantial upside for the American taxpayer.
Basically, what Trump's approach to this stuff is the way the government's been operating is give the private industry a bunch of money, finance their projects, and then we don't get any money back.
Yeah, we've been treating the whole thing like NPR.
We're financing it, we're the guarantor and making payment, and they just get the free money and they get their own corporate profits. So total disconnect there. Total disconnect. They're not paying bonds back. You know, like we financed the debt, even at 1%, we financed it. Like we're carrying the note. They're not. They could go out of business. We got nothing. You know what I mean? Like we're still paying. So I think that in that regard, it's kind of brilliant. When you're all, and I've made this argument before, the moment the Federal Reserve was created, by default, we became a communist country because what's the definition of communism? Central control of economics. And when you just centralized your banking, that's that. It's done, over, right? So in that regard, who pays the bill is the taxpayer. What they're basically saying is like, listen, if we're going to use the system, let the companies pay the bill. Right? If we're going to give them money, give them investment, then we want to get something back. Makes pretty good sense to me. So here's what Howard Lutnick had to say about that, about how we get money back by these cooperative agreements. If we're going to fund them, may as well get some ownership.
Patents. We have given tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars to universities for them to do research, and they invent things. And you know who owns those patents? The university. So we are going to make a deal with them all, which is if we give them the money, don't you think it's fair that the United States of America and the taxpayers who funded it get a piece of that, right? So we wrote a letter to Harvard, so Linda and I working together. I mean, it's so much fun to work with everybody here. I mean, we just have a blast, you know, because Linda's getting Harvard and she says, what can we do? Now we send them a patent letter and we'll hit them again. So we're having fun together. This is the greatest cabinet working for the greatest president. And I just want to say thank you. I'm having the time of my life working for you, Mr. President.
He's cutting deals. He's cutting deals. So this idea is with Harvard and all these universities, you guys have royalties. You guys have patents. We pay for it, and then you collect all the upside. And yet we underwrite all the risk.
Meanwhile, they have huge endowments.
Huge endowments. They can be self-funded. Yeah. These institutions have become perpetual.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one of the things that also, so that makes sense to me. Is that fascism? I don't think that's fascism.
No.
I mean, the United States is already a corporation. It should have some corporate stake. Rather than collect the money from taxes, just collect the money from the investments. Remember, who's our market? The 7 billion people outside of our country boundaries. They want to sell to us, and we got stuff to sell to them. Monetize it. You know, if the government is just taxing its people and the free trade happens, this is how you end up with Amazons that are so big and they actually sway influence over the government instead of the other way around. Now, all the patents that, say, Facebook has, all the government research that went into their startup tech, all the government research that has gone into a bunch of Amazon's tech, all the government research that's gone into SpaceX and, you know, these other mega corporations, if we funded it, we got to get something for it. That makes sense to me. I don't think that's fascism. I mean,
yeah,
is the United States going to have more vote?
So
if
compare Amazon with Alibaba, for example, and look at the two CEOs and their lifestyles and their personal freedoms and what they're able to do. So you got Bezos, who's, you know, living like a super pimp on his $100 zillion yacht. And then with Alibaba, what's the guy's name?
He's teaching at a community college because he's been disgraced and
yes,
a little more powerful than.
So which one of those feels more fascist?
more controlling. Now, just owning the shares does not mean you control the company until you get to 51%, right?
Right. It just means you get a cut.
It just means you get a cut. It can replace taxes.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the chessboard being kind of laid. Now, Trump made a very unpopular decision the other day. He says we're going to allow 600,000 Chinese students into the country. They're technically already here. These are your student visa holders from China. And as we know, they have to sign a document when they come here saying that they'll spy on the United States on behalf of China, blah, 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 blah. Very disturbing. I don't like it at all, but it creates, there's an economic problem here. And this is something that Trump faces over and over again. If we really get to the root of the problem, we all go hungry. If they really deport these 600,000 Chinese students, which he's used it as a threat and a bargaining chip, right? If we really deport the 600,000 students, something happens to our university system.
Hold on, though. 600,000.
600,000.
How many students can our university system even accommodate? Because that sounds like a lot of people.
It's a lot, man.
I mean, we only have 330 million people in country, period.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like, what, 1/3%?
It's a lot.
And that's this sounds unrealistic to me, but
well, there's it's a big number, and this number would have rippling effects through the university system.
An issue, Mr. Secretary, for I think the base of the Republican Party, certainly for the Ingram angle for many, many years, conservatives, is this idea of foreign students coming to the United States and taking spots that would normally be, obviously open to American students. The president addressed this issue as part of the Chinese trade deal, which might be in the offing. Watch.
We're going to get along good with China. I hear so many stories about we're not going to allow their students, or we're going to allow their students to come in. We're going to allow, it's very important, 600,000 students. It's very important.
Mr. Secretary, with all due respect, how is allowing 600,000 students from the communist country of China putting America first?
Well, the president's point of view is that what would happen if you didn't have those 600,000 students is that you'd empty them from the top. All the students would go up to better schools, and the bottom 15% of universities and colleges would go out of business in America. So his view is he's taking a rational economic view, which is classic Donald Trump, looking at higher education and saying,
but why are you
until
helping
we
Harvard?
modify that.
An issue, Mr. Secretary.
Okay, that is a rational economic view. Dang it, why does it have to make sense? Why do I have to see the reason in it? I don't want the local community college system to go away, because that is the only opportunity for some kids to go to college. Even if there is a spot for them open at Harvard, they can't pay for it. They're not going to get away from their families to get to it. They're enrolled in night school. Harvard doesn't really have a great night school program when you're working daytime at Home Depot. You know what I mean? Like, I can see where you would push a bunch of kids up into that, and then you would starve the lower echelon of the university system, which is a huge leg up for people.
I suppose that would be the case if the number was 600,000. I just have a hard time getting my head around that.
That's
the
number.
Big number.
Yeah, these are big. I mean, think about it here, though. Just in Kitsap County alone, you probably have 15 or 20,000 students.
Yeah.
Right. You go to University of Washington, Seattle University, Evergreen State College. I mean, these are like 15,000, 35,000, 10,000. You start adding that up, and you're like just getting up and down the I-5 corridor. You go up to the college in Bellingham, the one in Everett. Like, there's 400,000 college kids in Washington State. Gonzaga.
University of
Central
Washington University of Washington can accommodate about 35 to 40,000 students.
And that's a big school.
Yeah, it's a big school, but I don't think that half of them are Chinese.
No, but if you start, let's say 5% are.
Okay, so that's like 1,000.
Okay, but you start adding that up. I mean, think about all the universities. The one in Bellingham, can't remember its name right now. One in Everett, can't remember its name right now. Olympic College here in Kitsap, Washington State University, Seattle University, Evergreen State College.
So you'd have to have 10 of those size schools in every state to get to 600,000, which is might be doable.
You look at Salt Lake, what I'm familiar with, the University of Utah, the UVCA, whatever, University Valley, whatever, that's right next to BYU, Idaho, Snow College. And there's other, there's community colleges literally all over the place. You don't think about it, but Olympic College, which is just a 2-year, college, It's got like 15,000 students or something like that.
All right. I mean, maybe 600,000 is a real number. It just seemed like when I first heard that, I was like, damn, that's a big number.
Yeah, it's a big number. And you could see that if you peeled those people off and say the vast majority of them are in larger state schools, people are going to go up. Now, this ignores a larger debate, because if you just do that, you've got huge economic impacts. Olympic College goes out of business. That's employment in our local area. That's student body people that are not here spending money. Like, it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but are universities really serving our purpose anymore? I mean, are we really trying to create like factory workers? Are they actually educating? We didn't play this clip, but someone was talking about the top neuroscientist in the world, blah, 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 world renowned, published papers, not MAGA, not super left. He's just the best brains guy in the, brain surgeon in the world. How much of what's being taught in medical schools is accurate? Is like, we know for a fact 50% of what's in the textbook in medical school is not just inaccurate or outdated, it's false. And he's like, it takes a long time, decades, to unlearn from a doctor what they learned in college because of the authoritative aspect of it. He's like, it's completely like doctors make breakthroughs when they finally let go of what they were taught. And so he was going off on it. And it's like, yeah, maybe the university system isn't serving us.
So is it like all on the job training?
They call it practice. Okay. So yeah, it's on the job training. I got to go to my doctor so he can practice on me. I thought he was going to heal. Well, he's going to practice. He may or may not heal me. I don't know. He's going to practice. Okay. So yeah, my son has been going down these dives on YouTube looking at college, right? And he's young, so he's got a lot of time to plan. And he's like, should I go to college or not? And he watches these debates on YouTube between people who, should you go to college? How much does it cost? Should you just do YouTube University? How much does it cost?
My teenage son right now is very sure that he's not going to college just because he hates schoolwork.
Yeah. Well, there's that too. Okay. But so, every day on social media, as I'm doing show prep, you see a bunch of random videos, and there's always a smattering of it's always the same. It's a millennial woman sitting in her car, completely upset. She just came out of the bank. Her account's overdrawn. Her car payment's due.
Oh.
She can't afford anything. Nobody will marry her because she's coming with $90,000 in student loan debt. This one I was just watching yesterday, she was crying. She was begging for Jeff Bezos or Kim Kardashian to just Venmo her some money. She's like, I owe $90,000 for student loans. I've been making payments for so many years. I owe more money than college cost. She's like,
get a better job,
payment, but yet it's not covering the interest, so the balance is growing. And she's like, how can I ever get ahead? I'm working 2 jobs. She's just a mess, right? And she's like, how? And yeah, that's the reality a lot of Americans are facing. I spent a lot on college 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That same degree today is about triple what I paid.
Yeah.
And I thought then it was a little overpriced. Nothing's changed, right? A lot of college is, for the most part, unnecessary. And that does put this little weird economic thing where it's like, yeah, you can't get rid of these 600,000 students because they're paying for it.
Yeah. When I was going through college, I realized very quickly that college is a racket and they're there for the money. They're not there to educate you. And as evidence for that, my senior year, I'm graduating with a degree in civil engineering. I have to take a class just because it's a required element for my rounded education, I guess. I have to take a diversity class and I have to take an introduction to civil engineering class, which is ridiculous because I'm doing like the highest level work there is. And all of a sudden I'm doing like really simple linear algebra equations in my, there's 10 questions in my homework. And it takes me all of 5 minutes. But the diversity class was a complete waste of time. It was fun, because I didn't have to take a weird gender class, which were the options they really wanted you to take. But I found a jazz class that qualified for diversity. And so I got to listen to a lot of jazz music.
Got your underwater basket weaving credits, is what you're saying?
Yeah. But the whole time it's like, this is such a pointless money grab.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I just asked the smartest amongst us, how many total students are enrolled in accredited universities and colleges in the USA? Do you want to take a crack at this?
Well, if 600,000 are Chinese, I'm going to say 20 million.
Good. 19.6 million students.
Boom.
You got it. So just for context on there.
Which is a lot. I mean, how many people are in our workforce? I mean, across the country. That'd be a good, was that a grok question you were asking?
So that's 392,000 students per state if it was distributed across the 50 states equally.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It's a big number. It's a big number. Drop out of college, folks. That's the only answer.
Hey,
Deprive them of your sanction.
There is something to be said for, the dirty jobs that Mike Rowe covers. I mean, there's a lot of jobs out there.
Oh my gosh, dude, there's so many blue collar jobs. And get to them now before AI takes your cubicle job, because it's coming for you.
And while I was going through college,
job before it takes the carpenter's position.
Well, and a lot of people will look at where I'm at now and go, "Oh, you're a licensed civil engineer. You're doing great." Yeah, well, it took me 20 plus years to get here.
Yeah.
And if you just start out in a trade, you're starting out in a really good shape.
That's the crazy thing. I had a super rich uncle one time who gave another uncle who went to dental school some advice. And he was like, just do some simple math. How much does your degree cost? What's your potential earning? What's the payoff? He's like, just look at it like any other investment. And at the end of the day, back then, this is 35 years ago now, I remember hearing this conversation as a child, and it was like, okay, it barely penciled out for him to go to dental school. Barely penciled out.
Yeah.
And it was like, oof, I mean.
And you got to live with all the stress.
Yeah, barely penciled out. Fast forward 20 years after that, because I was a child when that happened, and now I was an adult sitting in the hot tub with this same uncle, and he's like, I hate my job. I hate it so much. I'm looking at people's mouth all day. My back hurts because you're hunched over. And he's like, and my income is linear.
Yeah.
I have to be in someone's mouth to be making money. That I didn't expect. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much how it works.
Yeah.
It's just a higher dollar per hour, a little more overhead to carry. And
hey, the septic pumper's got to be in somebody's tank. They're not making money.
No. And the septic pumper, by the way, makes as much money per hour as my uncle's does.
That's right.
Owner operator, it's the way to go. That was what that's what ended up making me buy your well, it is your dad's business.
Yeah.
Was because I'm looking at this guy that's got a missing, not your dad, of course. I'm looking at the employees. They got like missing teeth, and it's like they got 3 cigarettes hanging out of their mouth and had a dip in their mouth, and they're operating. And I'm like, man, I'm looking at my invoice. I'm like, I'm paying $175 an hour for this guy. He can do it. I can do it. Why can't I make $175 an hour? Changed my whole life, right? Okay, so John Solomon was on his show, Just the News, yesterday, and he made an announcement about some information that's going to drop today with regards to James Comey and a private email server.
Oh.
James Comey waved a magic wand and said that there would be no prosecution of Hillary Clinton for using a personal email server to move classified information, to do government business on a private email server in violation of the rules and possibly of law. His own FBI had a personal email problem. That's right. They were using personal email for a possible unauthorized leak to the media. James Comey waved a magic wand and said that
they were using a private email, and they have access to it. Imagine the information that they have in the private email server. When you see what they said, like Lisa Page and Peter Strzok on their FBI phones, which, by the way, allegedly they were using the FBI phones for that affair so that their significant others wouldn't find out on private phones, right? But if you can imagine if they're using a private server knowing that it's not going to be found by FOIA and stuff like that, oh my.
What's your first word search that you're going to do?
Word search for...
If you had access to those emails, what's the first search you're going to do?
I'd probably just put the word Trump in, and then I'd put my name. Just see if I was ever mentioned. Okay, PB Brown, Utah Scout says, Taylor, where are the good economic stats? None. There are none.
No.
There are none. I would honestly, genuinely, and truly say that every stat that you put at me, I would just go, Bureau of Labor Statistics, inflation is way higher than that. Everybody knows it's messed up. Unemployment statistics, the way they do the surveys on that, totally messed up, totally unreliable. Almost every single piece of data. Scott Adams goes over this every day. He's like, nothing we know that's official data or anything, these studies that are paid for by special interest groups. He's like, we know almost nothing.
Yeah, forget about history. We don't even know what's happening now.
The entire apparatus is so corrupted and so self-interested that the answer is, I don't know, which then is what causes someone like me to just look at fundamentals. And I think Donald Trump sits in the same spot. Scott Bessent sits in the same spot. It's like you're looking at fundamentals, all the pie in the sky, like the guy on the Werner Economics with Tucker Carlson, that podcast. He's like, the economists don't understand that banks create money, so their models don't work. We've made no advancements in macroeconomics by their own admission in so many years. The data that we're using to get this and the Keynesian techniques that they're applying to stimulate the economy clearly haven't worked, right? Nobody has a grasp on what's happening in the finance world. Elon Musk shows up with Doge and he finds out these magic money printers that can print money that's not allocated by Congress or anything. Catherine Austin Fitts audits things and realizes there's $21 trillion missing. Where do you get the good economic data? What's the price of a gallon of milk?
Well, the good economic data is things like a manipulated CPI number that they post out there just to try to keep the masses happy.
That's exactly right. Like, it's all bunk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like some, a blind squirrel finds nuts every now and then. Like, I'm sure they could post some numbers. Hey, that turned out to be.
And then the whole time they're reporting.
But how do we know it's even accurate?
The whole time they're reporting a number that's some ridiculous thing like, oh, it's 2.8% instead of 3.1 or whatever. Don't believe your lying eyes when you're in the supermarket.
Yeah, there are no good indicators other than what's the cost of gas, what's the cost of a gallon of milk, and are you making more money than you did last year?
Yeah.
And is it enough to compensate for the rising prices of milk and gas? And you know what I mean?
Like, and I would say that it's not even the price of gas and milk. I mean, gas, yes, but maybe not milk, because when you start talking about milk, then you start to like bleed into the same CPI baloney. Go to McDonald's and buy a meal. Ugh.
Dude, yesterday I went. I mentioned my family's out of town.
So smack you in the face.
I just went to the casino up the road to grab a little dinner. It was like $26, and I'm like, I had a burger,
right,
and a salad,
right. So that I think is a better indicator than a gallon of milk, because I think or eggs. Everybody will talk about milk and eggs.
Well, and unfortunately, some of that stuff has subsidies in it too. So it's like,
yes, exactly. But that burger you got did not. So boom, you get hit with all of it.
Yeah, no, it's bad. So yeah, where are the good economic stats? I don't know. No. It's almost just like gather up as much as you can, but judge it against your own standard. The thing I like about Trump is what Scott Bessent refers to is he's trying to turn things into assets, trying to turn debts into assets. He's monetizing. If you can't fix a problem, monetize it, right? Because then the carrots and sticks are for the problem to go away, because then I'll have to stop paying for it. So and
in the meantime, we're collecting some cash.
Exactly. So I think that he's smart to do that. He's looking at every element of the balance sheet. Scott Bessent said, and I don't think I'm going to play the clip. Nope. I'm not going to play the clip, but Scott Bessent said to Maria Bartiromo that President Trump, and he's driving the Fed crazy because he understands monetary policy really well. So he's not just like Bush or Obama, who's sitting there and here comes the Fed. Yep, rates are going up, rates are going down. This is the economic data. This is what you're looking at. Instead, Trump's like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, this is what the real data is. And he's pushing all of their assumptions, and he's exposing that it's broken, right? When you're, we're going to keep interest rates high because the unemployment numbers, and then the very next day the unemployment numbers get revised.
Well, those numbers are also fixed.
They're all
the numbers are fixed.
There's no metric where you can get reliable data, from climate change to macroeconomics to what's going on in law enforcement. There's nothing reliable out here.
Employment numbers.
The whole thing is running off the zeitgeist of belief that it's real. The whole thing is running off the belief that most people have that money, dollars, are somehow related to gold and silver and real tangible value. It's not. A couple bad policies, a couple misstatements by a Fed chair, Trump fires the wrong person, the whole thing comes crumbling down. It's a house of cards held together by Elmer glue at best.
Yes. Ethereal Elmer glue.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the media is never going to cover any of this stuff, frankly, because they're in on it. And Trump's made a little interesting comment about just exactly how bad the media is and how much we should hold them in disdain. Maybe. Sometimes the transitions are almost going to be perfect. Like, Trump will finish my sentence, but not today. Not today.
They showed one scene where a bunch of Nicaragua guys or whatever, maybe MS-13, maybe MSDNC. Okay? To me, they're worse. I think they're worse. And MSNBC. Maybe it's worse than Tren de Aragua. Real scum, real dishonest people. But anyway, but they...
NBC 13.
MSDNC, yeah, maybe MSDNC. Worse than Tren de Agua. In a certain way, he's not wrong. This is the media apparatus that has supported the open borders, the trafficking. You know, the local gang members in DC are working with Tren de Agua. I mean, you can't overlook these connections, man. Tren de Agua is coming out of Venezuela, which is what? A communist country. Mm-hmm. What does General Flynn talk about? Communism being taken over. What does Milley and the Fed chair talk about? Oh, we got to reject fascism and want to be dictators. That's communist talk. Right? Americans don't think like that. Trump's not a dictator. I still have my liberty. He's, you know what I mean? He's kind of coming down with a hammer, but he's, in my opinion, it's like, we are not going to discriminate against Christians or anybody else. We're not going to discriminate against Christians in favor of someone else. That's not what equality or equity looks like. You know, so he's coming down. Yes, he's using the awesome powers of the office, but
the awesome powers of the Ayatollah.
The awesome power of the Ayatollah, who sets his prophets up to continue on without him. And here's Flynn being like, Obama left his prophets all over the federal government. There's 85% of them. Yeah, you're projecting, Stacey Abrams. If you don't think you hate the media enough, Adam Schiff's in a little bit of hot water over his mortgage fraud. There's been these different releases about, Russiagate and all that stuff. Oh, look, CNN, this comes from KK Baird, scrubbed every video of Adam Schiff claiming there was damning evidence of Trump and Russia collusion hiding in plain sight. Look at this. All their CNN unable to upload video. Schiff, evidence in plain sight on collusion. Schiff, evidence of Russian collusion damning. Schiff defends claim of evidence of Russia collusion. Schiff, I don't recall calling out this president. Can't get the source material, can't get the video anymore. These were all back in the era when I was like, I can't read CNN. They're not citing sources. Now they're not even citing their own videos. Again, they're starting to pull it off, and pretty soon the whole article will disappear. And that's what you're going to, I mean, the deep state is trying to defend itself right now.
Making history, rewrite history.
Yep, they're trying to defend themselves from the people. And again, you don't think it's bad? Tulsi Gabbard, director of national intelligence, she had a little bit of something to say in that cabinet meeting yesterday about some more things they've been finding in these burn bags.
Mr. President, you have charged me with the mission of finding the truth and telling the truth to the American people. And we've exposed some of the worst examples of the weaponization of intelligence in the last several weeks. I will continue down that mission and that path wherever it leads. Transparency, telling the truth is what will drive true accountability for the American people who deserve nothing less. And lastly, Mr. President, all of us are charged with being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. I've gone through a reorganization for ODNI that we've announced in the, last week. We've cut nearly half of redundant, unnecessary functions within ODNI, saving taxpayers over $700 million a year. We will continue focusing on our core mission in keeping the American people safe, and appreciate your leadership and your focus on this most critical task.
And you've also found many bags of information. I think they call them burn bags. They're supposed to be burned and they didn't get burned, having to do with how corrupt the 2020 election was. And when will that all come out?
Mr. President, I will be the first to brief you once we have that information collected. But you're right, we are finding documents literally tucked away in the back of safes in random offices in these bags and in other areas, which again speaks to the intent of those who are trying to hide the truth from the American people and trying to cover up the politicization that was led by people like John Brennan and James Clapper and others that have caused really immeasurable harm to the American people and to our country.
Great job. Thank you. We look forward to hearing.
Immeasurable harm to the people of our country. Burn bags tucked away in safes with evidence of the treason. Speaking to their intent. Not only did they intend to do it, they tried to cover it up because they knew they'd done it. Buddy, like, my expectations are low, but they definitely raise them when they tease stuff like that out. All right, it's probably about time for us to jump over to private. We are going to, on the private side, we are going to be talking about some really big cultural news. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. Oh my gosh. Reaction videos from that. Okay. And then we're also going to be going over a really cool scene from the show Yellowstone that is a great example of basically in a micro scale of what Trump is doing in federal office right now. So join us over on the private side if you can. We look forward to seeing you there. Otherwise, man, we've got great viewership right now. It's time to go private. But this is one of the things that, again, Trump says, I don't know why Republicans can't win these off-cycle elections like in Iowa, especially in areas where Trump carried by 20 or 11%. But I think this has a big part to do with it, that in these off-cycle times, you know, the motivated voters aren't necessarily the MAGA voters. Trump's not on the ballot. They think he's got it in hand. And no matter what Trump does or says, the general media landscape that's pushing information out to the normal people like you and I are so biased. There's almost nothing Trump could do that would make them change their coverage, which is, I think, why, even though all the pundits and even the generalized polling shows that the Democrat Party's in the trash heaps, it still can pull off an election.
Here's the problem in Congress. You have Democrats that will never vote for anything. I could say that we're going to lower your taxes by 50%. We're going to guarantee you free cities, safe cities. Nobody will ever get touched, molested, beat up, shot in the head. We're going to give you the greatest country ever. We need your vote. And they won't vote. And they do it in unison. The only thing they do good is cheat on elections and unite. You know why they unite? Not because they're good or they're loyal people. They unite because they're afraid. They're afraid of the radical left. And you can't get their vote. So we have a vote coming up at the end of September. And I think we're going to pass it because we have the majority. And I think almost every Republican will vote for an extension. Because no matter what deal you make with these people, look at Schumer. He made a deal a year and a half ago. And after making the deal, he's been almost run out of the party. He's not the same man. He's not the same man. He's finished. He aged 20 years. He's become a Palestinian, by the way. We call him our great Palestinian senator. But Chuck Schumer, and I wrote him a letter. I said, Chuck, that was really great. Thank you very much. And somebody gave the letter to the press, not me. And he was destroyed because they thought I was being sarcastic, and I wasn't. He made a great decision. It kept our country open. That was a positive. But you can count on almost no vote. I mean, I see things. I'll give you an example, crime. So we're going to pass a bill to stop crime. We may not get one Democrat vote. Okay. We may not get one. So when you say continuing resolution, I guess so. And it's going to be passed exclusively by Republicans.
Mr. President, why did you use
Yeah. No matter what he does, it won't be good enough. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if he's got a 95.5 issue. That MSDNC, which is worse than Tren de Agua, is going to get up and be like, how dare he lower crime? What a jackbooted thug. If he was like, hey, we're defunding police, we're going total anarchy in the streets, just do you, boo. They'd be like, look at this guy, this dereliction of duty. It wouldn't matter. You couldn't go extreme enough for these people to agree with you on anything because you're not part of the party. It's that simple. And the one thing the communists were even better than the fascists at, it was circular firing squads and taking out the guy next to you to get ahead. And that's what you're going to see in this Democrat Party. They'll shed some dead weight. Eventually, they're going to throw Schiff and these other people under the bus, but they're just going to continue on marching because for them, this is a generational life struggle, comrade. You know what I mean? That's so, you know, they don't have peasant lives to go back to. Their life is meddling in your life. That's like exactly what they're drawn to. So be aware and, you know, make your voice heard. Do what you got to do. Share the show with other people. We really appreciate it. The only way the show grows is organically. We have a great dedicated following. It's super fun to come and see the chats every morning. Sapphire Patriot, thanks for joining us on YouTube. Carlito and Tiffany, you threw a good morning in there too. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I look forward to talking to you guys again tomorrow. Don't forget to check out leftbehindandwithout.org, 1776live.us. We're doing our big Ignite presentation tomorrow. Go check it out. Go to 1776live.us and you can register. And with that, you guys, we'll talk to you again tomorrow. For those of you coming over on private, we'll see you in a couple minutes.